Good evening. Today is Thursday, October 17th, 2019. The time is 6:38 p.m. and the regular meeting of the Greensburg Redevelopment Commission is called to order. At this time, please silence your electronic devices. And if everybody would stand, we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Roll call. Judy, would you conduct roll call, please?
Yes. David Weigel.
Present.
Adam Wenzel.
Present.
Ken Dornick.
Present.
Darren Covington.
Here.
Jody Kaufman.
I'd like to welcome Steve Dorflinger, our new ex officio member, the representative from the Greensburg Schools. Steve, thank you for volunteering and taking the time to be here with us.
Thank you.
Next item, approved minutes of September 19th, 2019 regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there's not any corrections to minutes, they stand approved as presented. First item on our agenda under new business is presentations for planning services for project list. What we'd like to do is have FPBH from North Vernon.
Yeah, what we'll do is ask the others to step out, which they have done. And we have Bernie Hartsberger here with FPBH. Do you need any assistance with the presentation?
No, we do not.
Okay. Our format will be 15 or so minutes. You make a presentation, a few minutes for discussion and questions, and then we'll go on to the next one and we'll see what we can all learn.
Okay, very good. All right.
We're going to keep this real informal, so I'm going to let this bring it out here.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Like Ron said, we'll leave time for questioning, but feel free to stop us at any moment if you'd like further clarification.
Thank you, Clark.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hard to. Sure.
Here you go, Ron.
Thank you. Start, John?
Sure. Hi, my name's John Magel. We're with FPBH down in North Vernon, and we have offices as well in Newcastle and Seymour, Indiana. So we're up and down Highway 3 all the time through here. Really appreciate you guys contacting us and having us in to kind of talk about the planning of all these priorities and projects that y'all have coming up here in the future. Just a quick introduction. My name's John Magel. I perform many roles at our little company because it's a small outfit, project manager, etc. This is Bernie Hausberger, our head engineer and president. And something new we've added is new to our team is Randy Eggenspiller. He's a landscape architect out of Madison, and I'll let him kind of talk about his experience here in a little bit. Administratively, we go to the sheet. We'd like to be involved with Ron immediately to go over the cost estimate and the scheduling and the priorities of your jobs that you have coming up. We have experience in developing master plans and amending them, the ones that are in place. And we noticed the large dollar figure on your list, and we'd like to explore additional funding sources that we have a lot of experience with on a lot of these jobs. Okra, Next Level Trails, Safe Routes to Schools, various NDOT grants, etc. In addition to RDC work, we've done a lot of city engineering consulting for Seymour, Madison, North Vernon, Town of Nicetown, Brothersville, etc. And then with redevelopment commissions in particular, Dan Wright kind of specializes with that in our company. He's unable to come tonight, but we work with Madison, Henry County, Jennings, and Jackson. With that, we noticed on your list there's a lot of mixed-use developments and kind of quality of life stuff. And I'm going to turn that over to Randy and let him kind of discuss these a little bit.
Randy Agatston, I'm a landscape architect. For the last 10 or 12 years, I was a city of Madison engineer and worked a lot with FPBH on the projects there. The river walk, we did that along the Ohio River. We did the amphitheater down on the river also. So we did those two things in Madison. And prior to that, I worked with college campuses. At Hanover College, I was the director of physical plant there for 20 plus years and did master plan for the whole campus there. I went over to Virginia and worked for the college there for 8 years, and then down to Vernon University, Greenburg, South Carolina, doing the same project. I think all three. I've been involved in a lot of trails, walkways, and on college campuses. The biggest thing was to separate pedestrian and vehicle traffic so you can make it safe as possible, create the lighting the right way so it makes it nice and appealing, and having your benches and landscape and everything go on to make it really nice. And so that's my expertise and where I come in to work with Bernie and the team.
I guess go to the next page and just go to some of our example of our projects. First one, which is, okay, the Muscatatuck Trail for the city of North Vernon. That was their first real Rails to Trails project that we did for the city, so we want to make sure that was well received, and the city seems to really enjoy it and use it extensively. It's got some everything's ADA accessible, so we have to make sure the ramps are have the railing and the correct slope, et cetera, that's needed for that. There's also some future restroom designs that we're making sure that all the infrastructure is in place. So the last thing we want to do is come in and have to tear out part of the trail because somebody forgot to put in a conduit or a water line to get over to that system. So I think we're very conscientious about where we're going in the future, and that's again always a plus for us, I think. Let's go to the next sheet. We've been doing some master planning now. We updated the Seymour master plan just about a month ago in order for them to try to get qualified for the PNR next level trails grant that we're trying to go after. I imagine you guys are maybe going after it too, but it's kind of a trick on securing that funding because there's so many people going for a limited amount of dollars. So it's unfortunate, but I think that there's a lot of need in the southern part of the state that didn't quite get the money that they did in the northern part of the state. So we'll see how those turn out this round. And those were due like October 1st, so I'm assuming that you're either going for the next level, or the one level 3, which is the next year, or maybe you got one turned in. The next page, City of Madison, like Randy was talking about, we did the river walk and stabilization. There was I don't think anybody knew how unstable this one area was of the riverfront that had some nice, it was a nice area. It has the gazebo on it and some other functions, and we went in and kind of tore that out and put in a retaining wall that would last for years and give them at least some peace of mind that would be stable. But it has some paddle wheel overlooks that we developed that I think have been successful for people to come through. And Randy was able to. Randy's a very good asset, I think, because he's good with the long-term plans of what's needed, and he, from a landscape architect point of view, he's able to put the correct plantings in there that make it a good long-term feature for everybody to enjoy. So we do a lot of site design for both businesses and even small Walgreens, for example. I just thought I'd show you that. It had kind of an interesting walkway down the front where we had a retaining wall that had to be added to make the site acceptable to the city. But again, handicap accessibility is always important. The next page was part of the Madison Riverfront. We did do a restroom facility that was decorative to look like it's not supposed to look, it's not supposed to be historic, so it's not historic, but it matches the flavor of Madison in that it has that, I think it has an historic appeal to it. Again, lighting and the sidewalk and the amphitheater turned out, I think, very well with the way it contoured up the hill and was able to seat, I actually don't know how many it seats. Is it 5,000 or 6,000 people? Yeah, they get some pretty large events in there. And they also have a vending area set up for, it has to have electricity and water in order for them to put tents up, and allows these vendors to come in, and is another extra that is important in order for people to have the best, go back to quality of life. They want to have these events and have beer and wine or other food and drink at the event. Okay, the next page, we got a Lanier Mansion. We work a lot with DNR. DNR hires us for a lot of projects in southern Indiana. I think I'm hoping that we're kind of the go-to firm for them. We're doing a project in Brown County right now on a retaining wall structure. We're also working in Spring Mill State Park and of course in Madison, in Clifty Falls State Park. That covers that. And this was actually for the city of Madison, but it was part of DNR. DNR had oversight over it because it was at the visitor center. And we just put in a little photo of Hanover College, their campus master plan, that mainly was Randy that worked on that. But again, it just kind of shows you the long term. You really have to have a feel for the trees and how that's going to look in 10 or 15 years, instead of just getting in and out and kind of working for that next job. We want to see our projects last, 30, 50 years, and we want people to enjoy them and be good considered good projects for your community. Let's see, some of the things on the next page, we just go over some of our transportation and bridge experience. We do new bridges, roadways. We currently have 6 small projects, small structure projects for the state of Indiana. One of the projects is actually just south on 421. Kind of on 421, when you get kind of parallel with St. Mary's School, there's a really tight structure that it's only got about a foot of shoulder before you drop off the edge. So we're going to try to get that thing replaced in the next 3 or 4 years. So we'll see how that project does. We just took a field check on that yesterday. Let's see. Again, we do a lot of CCMG projects for the different communities we're familiar with. Previous experience with outside firms. We do team with firms to try to make ourselves the best in that field. If we need a landscaper, if we need somebody who's more qualified, we'll go ahead and tap them to do work in that particular expertise. INDOT's really kind of that way now, where you got 4 or 5 firms, and even DBE firms that we team with, to try to come up with the best team for that project. Okay, just going with some other projects we've done that are federally funded. The Hayden Pike project in North Vernon used LPA, INDOT funding that had sidewalks. The next project, Greensburg Street, kind of a trick. It actually had handicap ADA issues. The road was actually steeper than ADA requirements, so it required us to do some grading on the sidewalk. That was I would call it just a bit of a trick to make sure that met the required handicap needs. And flip to the next page is our first bridge that we show. That's just some cross sections of Switzerland County Bridge 35. And then the next page is Bridge 136 in Jefferson County, which is that is not finished. That's under construction. Just for the record, We do put guardrails on. Okay, we'll keep going down there. And the last page is, why choose our team? Been in business for 47 years. I have not been there for 47 years, but we took, eventually new owners kind of have taken over the business, and we continue to grow, and we hope to expand with more projects in Greensburg. Let's see. We do have a highly experienced staff. I know we probably seem small with 12 people, but those 12 people have been there for. We do have a couple of new employees that have been there like 2 years, but most of us have been there for over 10 years. So it's how long have you been here, John?
16.
16 years. So, and then he's considered one of the newer guys. So we go back quite a ways. So anyhow, we kind of want to turn it over to questions because I don't know how much else we can say at this point. We can keep talking too.
So have you guys taken on any project lists or master planning of areas before? Is I guess one question. Another question: do you have a lot of work in roadways?
Yeah, I actually came up through NDOT roadways when I was coming up at NDOT in the 80s. I shouldn't say I'm that old, but that's where anymore. It's a trick. Not what people want as age-wise. But no, I started on the board. We went to computers obviously soon after. I went to a consulting firm and stayed with road design. I've done I-69 projects. I've done 465 projects. Then we started the state road. We've done some 74 projects actually down at the state line. That was with some other firms. Then we also, with our company, we were able to get the State Road 37 project as a, I haven't thought about this unfortunately for a good year. But on the State Road 30, what was that called? Stellar? What is Stellar?
From 465 down to Harding's.
Yeah, anyhow, it was basically a 4-lane roadway, and we turned it into a 6-lane roadway, concrete, and we were able to do that, and we stayed within the right-of-way. That was fortunate. Then we put in a triple left turn coming out of Flying J to get onto the 465 ramps, and that was a real trick. We had to use some special high early strength concrete to get that all coordinated, because the last thing we wanted to do was close Flying J lift station. So the contractor went with our plan, did that work. We were also able to coordinate the signals with, we had three or four signals in a row. We had 3 signals in a row that we were able to coordinate to where the flow of traffic didn't stop, and it was able to get through to the outskirts of town as fast as possible. So it's just, I think we feel like we're experienced in, that was a FPBH project we were able to pull together, and it was one of the very first Mitch Daniel projects that was able to get completed. We even won the award from NDOT for having one of the best projects, major projects in Indiana that year. So, and we still do quite a bit of LPA projects and things like that. Does that answer your question?
Pacer on it's an inventory assessments, budgeting, planning.
Yeah, we definitely like to do a big project with you guys too. We weren't sure where we fit with, if you were going to pick one firm to do everything, or if you were thinking of picking a few firms to work with you on. So we kind of focused a little bit on trails, because we think we're good at that, and we can give you a good, I think we can give you good benefit, and our cost should come up as quite a bit less than some of the other firms.
What kind of projects do you think are your strengths that you're the best at?
Well, we did win the award from NDOT on roadway projects, but it takes a lot of effort to get those large NDOT projects moving, and they're expensive. You're looking at $500,000 engineering, to get without anything moving through INDOT. So I've been working with the city of Seymour a lot on some LPA projects that I'm managing for the city. And I'm watching some of the contracts come through. I have been kind of surprised at the fees it takes to get some of those through. We feel like we're, I don't want to say we're low cost, because I feel like we give great quality. But I'm kind of confused at what some of the engineering firms are spending their money on. So we don't do a lot of marketing. I don't know if you can tell, you're given kind of bare bones marketing stuff. You're gonna see better stuff than this in the next 2 rounds, I'm guessing. But we think we're giving the people what they want. And that's what we do.
So for reviewing our project list, which do you feel our project would be the most difficult for your firm?
Probably the Ireland Street extension, the bridge on that.
Yeah, the Ireland Street, I actually didn't actually get a chance to do too much work on that, but that's a little bit, we would have to hire other subs to help with that bridge job. We can do small bridges. I'm not sure what this is entailing, but if it's into something over about 100 feet, we'd rather we'd sub that out and we'd get another consultant help with this. But we can coordinate subs. We definitely are, we feel like we're good with that.
On that bridge, 35 in Switzerland County, that was one that we did with SEC. I think it was second class picture.
So our board does a lot dependent on the grants that we get. So we pick a project a lot of times with what's coming up. We've been fortunate with Mark and Ron that they've been very alert on what grants to get us and when and how quick to get stuff done. We put a lot on their plate, and I think this is one of the things we're looking at to alleviate that. So with that said, how would your guys' process be with going after grants? Do you guys have writers there to try to get grants? How soon would you inform us of, hey, this is coming up, we need to start looking at this with the grant process and projects that we're doing?
Sure. Unfortunately, Dan Wright is with our office, and he had another appointment tonight. He's got all the experience between Okra, he even goes into USDA and all some other economic development grants that are out there. But yeah, I feel like we do quick turnarounds with the grant writers. We don't write grants directly. Usually it's somebody like ARA. I don't know if you guys are under contract with anybody to do grant writing. Okay. We work with Southeast Indiana Regional Planning and ARA out of Columbus, and I'm sure I'd be glad to introduce those people to you or whatever.
The city works with ARA.
Help out.
The city works with ARA.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Trina is really good to work with, and
We've got lots of jobs with ARA.
it's just I think as far as leading the grant process, we get it started, we help you identify the project, then ARA will usually come in and kind of help coordinate that and get that finally through the process. That's how we've done it in the past.
We typically do the preliminary engineering report as part of the necessary requirements for the grant.
Yeah, we'll go over and above. A lot of times we'll basically, do the preliminary engineering. We're halfway through the project before we finally get the grant, and then just in a few months later, we're able to dive in and finish it and get it through the construction.
I think what we're looking for, you all tell me if I'm wrong, is we want to have the necessary legwork done so that when grants come up in the future, that we're prepared to apply. With this next level's funding, we didn't have enough time between the time we found out about it and the time it was due to get a lot of that work done. And so I think that's what we're looking for right now as a firm that can take our project list and sort of do some of that preliminary work to give us a sense of what is the cost? Has it changed from what we have estimated already? And I'm not sure of all the terminology for, I don't know if it's the preliminary engineering report that the grants want to see. I'm not sure of all
Yeah.
that. But to prepare those kind of documents so that we have them, so that in the event that we get the funding for a project, then we have a sense of what we want to do, what we want to apply for, and where we want to go.
I think the start would be to sit down with Ron and Mark and get a real thorough idea of what your priorities are, what your budget numbers are, and then we would attack from there. The recent October letting with NDOT, I mean, a third of the jobs did not even get awarded because they blew the budget, so we would have to, really remediate your budget to start, and then target the jobs which would need the preliminary engineering report to get after the available funds to kind of expand your pool of money even further.
We'd like to start right away. The next level round three, I believe, is going to come up faster than you think. So that's a good idea to go ahead and get someone on board and go ahead and start that preliminary planning and get those documents in order, because it is a little bit stressful for Seymour right now. They got a little bit of a late start, and we're trying to finish that up for them. And got to talk to some property owners still, because they want some signed document that says they would be willing to sell their property. You don't have to have everything completed.
Endorse the project.
Yeah, but it's just something we got to get done in the next couple of weeks.
Do you have, so I feel like we're kind of comfortable with finding funding through the city with Okra, CCMG, that kind of stuff, but I think honestly, in my eyes, I also would like to see if there's other avenues that we haven't worked with yet. Where else can we find funding, I think? It's helpful. We work with federal and state Department of Transportation, but beyond that, I think that's our scope.
Well, we've got, like, we even had a couple of rounds where we took a sewage treatment plant out of the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center and put in a large lift station, and we were able to get the Federal Economic Development Agency to fund that. So, and then we're also trying to work with that angle in Bankstown, I think. So we're trying to get some federal funding, which is a little different avenue. I don't know, you've got this access right here to I-74, and we'd love to help you with your industrial parks, trying to grow those areas. And we can try to find any money where we can find it.
And even Duke Energy makes money available from time to time, but there's lots of sources.
Yeah, I don't know what your electric company is out there. Electric park.
Duke.
Is it Duke? Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
I sure like to give a lot of money in the Carolinas.
Well, like I said, we really appreciate you having us down. We think we can do a good job. I know we seem so far away, but that is just State Road 3. We're driving it all the time, so we're always glad to be in Greensburg.
We appreciate your time, we really do.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Great job, great job.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Got to me.
Over there, so we're not sitting behind.
Hi there. ready.
Good, thank you.
Go ahead. Cool. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Luke Karen. I'm the Business Development Director for American Structurepoint. Thank you for having us here. We're excited to talk to you about your planning, estimating, and funding application services you're looking at doing. I have some really great people here with me. Wing Lau is one of our senior project managers in our transportation group. And then Grant Kleinhens is our group leader in our planning and economic development group. Both guys have some really, really great experience that I'm excited for you to hear. We have enjoyed a really great relationship with Greensburg over the past few years. Since I have been involved, of course, we did the construction inspection for phase 1 of Veterans Way, designed phase 2, and are getting ready to do construction inspection for phase 2 that's coming up. So we're happy to be a part, and we look forward to continuing that relationship. As a company as a whole, we've been around for 52 years. We have about 550 people at work and over 13 different disciplines. And the reason I mention that is that's going to be really important for you guys to understand that we have a ton of in-house resources. So the projects that you will be prioritizing and eventually applying for funding and eventually getting funding for would likely touch a lot of our in-house resources. So while some firms may have to sub out environmental services or utility infrastructure or surveying, for instance, construction inspection, we just walk down the hallway. It's extremely easy for us to accomplish large, complex projects and even simple ones. We have an incredible amount of projects that we have gotten funding awarded to local communities. There's a number of them listed on your sheet as well as here. This is a very small representation of the types of projects and the breadth of projects that we have and the funding that's come along with it. But what we have found in over 50 years is that is what really has separated us apart from other firms and our ability to find the money and win it for local communities. So with that, I'll pass on to Wing to talk more about project prioritization and our process involved.
Thank you, Luke. So I think we have 2 copies of the plans that we're going to talk about. So project prioritization. So what we did, actually, we partnered with Vanderbilt County in 2017 and 2018 to prepare this transportation capital plan and program. And what it does is it's actually mainly focus on the project prioritization. I'll give you a quick synopsis. And what we did is we met with them, met with the stakeholders for Vanderbilt County, like the engineering department, highway department, the commissioners, actually listed on the plan. And we talked to them, hey, if you guys want to do the projects for any project that you want, if funding is not a issue, what kind of like wish lists you guys want to add to your infrastructure improvement projects? So we met with them, we came up to about like 50 projects. And from that 50 project, and then we set up a scoring system for them to objectively score each project. And so we have some criteria like the traffic safety to see if they have any crashes in the past. Also the traffic volume to see how heavily traveled the roadway is. In addition to that, we also have some local criteria, maybe for economic development, that we also incorporate into the criteria. So based off of that, we rank all the 50 projects. And then so we also step back saying that, okay, we're gonna check your current spending for the past 5 years, just to see how much money they have, per year to spend. And then we realistically, from the 20-year plans that they come up with for the 50-year projects, we nail down to about 5-year program. From that 5-year program, then we look at, hey, based on your current funding that you have, we can, spend that much money, make sure that, with the money that you spend, with the most impact to your communities. So this is kind of like a quick synopsis of what we did for the past 2 years. And we're also doing something similar with Montgomery County, and we are doing a corridor study with them for a truck route. Not the entire county, but we're also going to be breaking down the entire truck route into multiple segments. And from there, we also prioritize which segment should go first because of different fundings involved. If you have local funding, then sometimes the plan development process will be a lot quicker. And if you have federal funding, it does typically take several years because of federal regulations. And also, these plans was recently received an award from the Association of Indiana Counties. So that's actually a really good plan that we're going to be using too if you guys select us to help prioritize your projects. So the second part that I'm going to talk about will be some funding mechanism. And also after that, Granny is going to cover additional funding mechanism too. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is, you guys are familiar with it because it's on your agenda too, the INDOT COFL project. We also work with a lot of local counties and cities. And one of the first ones is going to be the current INDOT group, the old Group 3 funding, which is the local rural road. The first one, Harrison County. We work with Harrison County for over 15 years now, since 2004, and we're working with them for a new connector road, connecting State Road 64 to Interstate 64. And what it does is mainly create, I guess, better connections for the residents of Harrison County so that they can go to the greater Louisville area and vice versa, try to bring economic development into Harrison County. So in that relationship, we help them to fund this, help them put application in to fund the multi-phase project. We help them on phase 2 and also phase 3. And we were able to secure about over $14 million in federal funding. The second one is with the city of Hammond. What we did, this is with the NERC, the MPO in the Northwest Indiana. And we were able to work with the city of Hammond to prepare funding application with NERC, and we're able to secure over $32 million in federal funding. So this is mainly what we do too on the main INDOT Group 3 funding. The second one that I'm going to cover is the local track program. One of the reasons why INDOT came out with the track program is Indiana is ranked one of the lowest in terms of railroad crossing safety. So INDOT is tasked to try to bring it up to make it a safer railroad crossing for the state of Indiana. So they came up with this program. And we help a couple of local entities to secure funding for railroad crossing or railroad overpass. So the last one I'm going to talk about is the trail with Indiana Department of Natural Resources. Currently, they have 2 trail grant programs, and the first one is the recreational, and they don't have a lot of impact in the sense that the maximum funding allotment is about $200,000. The big one is the next level funding program, and the state has committed about $90 million for trail projects within the state of Indiana. Currently, they're about the second round. So the first round is last year. They had, I think, allotted about $25 million. Currently, they are doing the call for project right now. They're going to be most likely allot the second round, maybe 25 to 30 millions. And the last round will be next year that we probably need to look into if you guys are selecting us, that we'll be able to help you to prepare the funding application. And that one, we're able to work with the town of Speedway. Again, we're able to secure funding from the IDNR trail program project. So, Grant.
So I'm not an engineer. My role today here is I'm a planner. So I've spent 23 years in municipal management as a city or town manager, most recently in Brownsburg, Indiana. Went over to the dark side and became a consultant. I've worked with redevelopment commissions in Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa. I'm a Hoosier, so it's good to be back home. But our group, the Planning and Economic Development Group, one of the things that we do is we work with our transportation group to identify quality of place improvements that can not only help traffic flow better, but also identify areas to improve in quality of place. As the RDC, you're focused on economic development, business attraction, retention, as well as improvement of your community. There's a lot of programs that I've had experience with, members of my group have as well. A couple of them are the Highway Safety Improvement Program grant through INDOT. That is specifically targeted to areas where you have high traffic accidents, not just fender benders, but also fatalities, areas where there's improvements that are needed. We've done those in Brownsburg, where I worked to facilitate some downtown improvement of a state route. Also the community crossings, I'm sure you're familiar with those, but that's a local funded program. We built a cross street to support a development in Brownsburg with those dollars. So not only familiar with those programs, but understand what they're looking for. And finally, the main thing that we offer is the Planning and Economic Development Group, is that we help communities identify issues that are keeping them from growing. It may be zoning issues, it may be aesthetics or image. Corridors may not be up to snuff when people come into the community. So we work a lot on public input, trying to gauge what people are interested in, and then turn that around to help RDCs, cities, towns fix the problems that they've identified. So that's one of the things we're very good at, is getting that public engagement, drawing the real issues out of people. It's very easy to stand up and say, oh, Main Street's the worst street in town. Well, if that's not the case, we need to figure out which street is. We also try to work with planning efforts to make sure that we're not just building a road or an improvement to improve traffic. There's always an economic development focus that should be placed on those projects, and that's one of our roles. So with that, I'm glad that I was invited today, because I love local communities. I actually worked in Ripley County. My first job out of college was the economic development director for Ripley County. And for sales, I'd come to Greensburg and we do some shopping here. But grew up in Columbus, and I love this part of the state. So I'll turn it back to Luke Karen to close the presentation.
So before we end here, and I'd like to get to some Q&A. If you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. But I want you to take away from this that we have an incredible amount of knowledge on the various funding opportunities that are available throughout the state and what it takes to get them, also in large dollar amounts. So Wing mentioned trail and speedway, so we're showing 12 million. I actually think that we've gotten closer to 20. I just couldn't get all the projects in order to tally them up, but I know at least we've had 12. 5 million was the largest trail award in the state through Next Level grants, and we put together that application. And the other 7 was safety money for a really, really unsafe intersection that they had. We helped them win 7 million for that. 10 million in Rockville, small town that had never ever put together a funding application before, and we won twice in a row, 2 different projects. The first one being for 4 million, and this next one for 6. So we've been very, very successful, and also some areas that maybe weren't mentioned. Relinquishment, for instance, is a huge deal. You guys have a state road that comes right through your downtown, and wouldn't it be cool to control the design elements of that if you wanted to? And relinquishment is one way to take that road over in your downtown limits and get money for doing that from the state, because now they don't have to, and now it's your road. So while yes, you would maintain it, you're getting paid for it, and you get to control all the design elements behind it forever. So working with a company like us that have done that, we did that in Westfield. Grant did it in Brownsburg with 267, which is now Green Street in Brownsburg. So with that, thank you so much for your time. We would be bad business people if we didn't ask you for your business, so we kindly ask you to work with us. We'd be happy to work with you again and continue our awesome relationship that we have. Questions?
I really like this example here. I can see why one board very well put together. That sort of is tracking along where I think where we're at right now. So we have we're coming up on, hopefully the next year or 2 we'll have Veterans Way project done. Sure. And then we'll be thinking about the next thing. So we had the project list, which I don't know if to share with you or not, but what we want to do is to be prepared for those funding opportunities that come up. We don't want to miss out on something because we don't have a preliminary design or preliminary cost estimate or et cetera. And I could see something like that being tailored to what we're looking for. And so I just want to say I like that format.
Yeah.
I think for me at least, that's sort of what I'm hoping we get out of this.
Another beauty behind a plan like that is it incorporates all the things that you are looking for. But again, as a 5-year plan, it can move, it can be versatile throughout your 5 years, but it really sets the stage for anyone that comes on your RDC. So if anyone were to retire off this board, or if you brought new people in, same thing with your council or anyone else that's involved, they immediately have a plan that they can look to of what you all have agreed on. And so there's no reinventing the wheel every single time a new person comes on the RDC. It's set in stone. Now, yes, as projects drop off, you bring in new ones, it can morph. But overall, it gives a full sense of what we're trying to do in the next 5 years. This is it. And here's how we get there. So when someone comes on, it can't get really derailed. It's moving.
So our current, I guess what started this was we missed next level. And so we instead of frustration, we decided to move forward. And with our project list, we've never really been able to prioritize what we want to do. We just waited for money to come up and hopefully grab it and went at it. So I think a couple questions. Number one, I'm happy that maybe we could finally prioritize what we're doing. The main question is how much would we be changing our project list, or how often could we or should we change a project list if we pick you guys? Would it be something that annual, or what would we look at?
Yeah, and Wayne, chime in here if you.
I think you can be flexible. I think the main thing is, in a sense, this is your framework, but then, as your community grow, we can also be flexible to adapt changes too. Let's say that new business coming in, you got to make some changes, amend the plan to address the 100.
I was gonna say, at the very least, when you finish a project, you should backload that with another one, at the very least, I would say. As environments in the community change, and if your vision changes, an update would be, it would behoove you to do an update then. So if you got another Honda, my God, that would, you would just, let's put some more projects in there. Let's find it, maybe there's a new area of town that we need to focus on heavier than what we were anticipating because someone came in. So it can move. It depends on the dynamics of the community and when they're changing. But at the very least, I would recommend that as projects get knocked off, you don't want to come in 5 years and have an empty project list, right? So that, at the very least, I would work through the plan, and as you're working through it, you're backing things up. And perhaps that prioritization changes too. Also, we have real deep insight as to what funds are available, how much it is, what it might take to get the funding, tips and tricks like, are you willing to put in more than 20%? Well, for the record, on your federal application, that's just a checkbox, right? It's a yes or no question, if you'll put more than 20%. They don't ask how much. So 20% could be 20% plus $1,000, but it scores higher. That is a way to get your project scored higher to ideally win more money. So little things like that, we're totally in tune with. Last I heard, HSIP money had $9 million in the bank that the state was just waiting to give away because no one could get a safety project to qualify. So if we know things like this, we can help you prioritize a project that not only have you guys already identified as a project you need, but we know which project has a better chance of winning.
You guys have a copy of our current project list, right? That was given to
Yes,
you.
yeah, we've seen it.
Is there any projects on that that you say, well, we have to sub out, we don't want to deal with this, or any that are too small that would just be something that would be out of your guys' realm?
No. To design, I think, or,
Both, I think.
to evaluate, right, so we're talking about an overall planning, prioritization, estimating, application process.
Exactly.
So no project is too small for that. We may say in our professional opinion, we don't think this project has a shot. If you want us to apply for it, we will, but it could, maybe, it may not get funding at all. We don't think it will. If there was a project that existed, we would tell you that, so you're not wasting your money on having to submit an application that's never going to be funded.
And the plan is also multi-local too, in addition to like roadway, roads, roadway trail, like pedestrian, sidewalk. So it's not just one mode of transportation, pretty much encompasses, other than the public transit, encompasses other mode of transportation.
In terms of design, when a project comes to that, if there's it's all local money, such as all RDC money, you don't have to submit for RFQ, but if there's any state or federal money, you have to submit for RFQ. And there are some projects that we would not compete on, because perhaps we know that we're not necessarily the best suited for it. We would only submit projects that we know we can do, and we would knock them out of the park. But in terms of this portion of any of these projects, none are too small or too large to participate or look at. Even some, like a bypass for State Road 3 or something like that. Build grants, which used to be the Tiger grant. Those are huge, and we helped NDOT like 20 million through the build grant. So better utilizing investments and leverage development as we've done. So $20 million, we've worked on $750 million projects before, all the way down to $2,000 phase 1 ESAs. So it just depends on what you guys want to do.
Do you think with our current project list, would you be able to put a number, an estimate on everything so we can kind of help with the prioritization of?
Yeah, that's actually one thing we would do as part of the plans too.
Okay.